Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. And I want to thank LaRose Mercader, the executive director of the Young St. Clair BIA, for joining us and telling us about this gingerbread festival. And I think it's kind of interesting that, gingerbreads, gingerbread houses, gingerbread men are such a part of this holiday season. And it's the first gingerbread festival that Toronto, Greater Toronto area has had. And I think LaRose is coming up with the idea and launching this festival is spectacular. I've seen the display, not in real life, but on social media. It really is quite engaging and beautiful. And so if you love gingerbread houses like I do, I encourage you to, if you're in that area, go check it out at Yonge and St. Clair. But I wanted to spend a couple of minutes and talk about BIAs, community development districts, neighborhoods, communities, Main Street shopping, etc. And I really think that this is something that we need to pay more attention to, both from a city planning standpoint, from a governmental standpoint, from a community standpoint, from a public standpoint. And it comes back to this conversation that LaRose and I had about the third place, building community, or as I mentioned, this buddy of mine, this friend of mine who I interviewed, who was president of Kin Canada, who said the biggest challenge we have in Canada is putting more community back into our communities. And that in so many places we've lost that. And I think the worst offender of that is these big box, power centers where, you can get in and out quickly. You've got some big boxes and the shopping is probably attractive, but the interaction is next to nil. There are some shopping centers that really have great interaction, and they'll have in the parking lots, they'll have carnivals, or they'll have, marketplaces. They'll sell Christmas trees. They'll do events. They'll try to create a sense of place. But it's the old main streets that really did this the best. And frankly, some malls are trying to do it. And I don't think they do it well, but they're trying to do it at least, and I congratulate them for trying to do it. But when you go to so many different places, whether it be in the old city centers, particularly in Europe, but I think that the Distillery District in Toronto, Bloor Street in Toronto, Yorkville for sure, and then all these sort of communities that I mentioned, with the Bloor West Village where I used to live, Port Credit where I live now. The beaches where I love to go walking, Bayview, Mount Pleasant, just south of Eglinton, Yonge Street, north of Lawrence. There are some really, Avenue Road, there are some places that are just great to walk around. When I was chairman of the Mississauga City Summit, we had a really interesting person come and say the best was actually where you had a walk area that was half commercial and half completely nature, recreational. And they used Ambleside Beach in West Vancouver as one of the best examples where you could walk along, I think it was called Lakeshore Road, which had, coffee shops and dress shops and grocery, etc. But then you would turn a corner and you'd walk back along the beach, and you would have playgrounds and nature and water, etc. And having that combination, I love Bloor West Village because you would do the Bloor West Village walk and then you'd walk through High Park. The beaches, obviously, you'd do Queen Street, and then you'd walk through that big park and down to the water and the boardwalk. But thinking about how people live and how they want to interact, and creating those places that you want to walk, have a sense of community, meet your neighbors, chat, people watch, grab a coffee, do some shopping, I think is critical. I think Oakville does that well. You don't have the nature close enough, and so people got to walk a ways to get that. Port Credit, tries to do it with a long pier that sticks into the Lake Ontario, but it's not contiguous, and so could be improved. I mentioned Bloor West Village, and again, it's not perfect because it's sort of not contiguous, but whether it be the Humber Bay walks or High Park walks at the end of Bloor West Village, they could be really spectacular. But it's the events, it's the shopkeepers that know each other, it's the sense of place, it's the outdoor patios, it's the coffee shops that spill out onto the sidewalk, it's the flower shops and grocery stores that spill out onto the sidewalks. It's places where you bump into people and you meet people and you chat and Santa's walking down the street, or there's an Easter bunny that's walking down the street, or there's a whatever different event that's occurring that really create a sense of community, a sense of place, a neighborhood that I think is key. You know, you go to Europe and you go to some of the city centers there, or even the smaller centers, everyone's out on the street. Whether it's cold and you're bundled up in a ski jacket, or whether it's nice warm weather. And I think about Italy, I think about France, I think about England, I think about all the different places I've gone in Europe. They do it so well because it's organic and they've done it forever. And as we've modernized and created these malls and these shopping centers and these power centers, we've taken away that third place, that sense of place, that community feel, that neighborhood orientation. And I think COVID has really negatively impacted them a lot because of the lockdowns. And I really feel badly that the big boxes stayed open and the neighborhood places were forced to close. I think it's one of the fatal mistakes of the way that we treated this whole lockdown. That we treated, I think, Main Street's worse than we treated the big box, the pharmacies, the grocery stores, etc. We could have limited attendance. We could have limited how many people went in, but still allowed them to stay open. So what's my message? My message is that these BIAs, these business improvement areas, can be hugely beneficial and we should support them. That main streets are better than just retail. They are the places where we build neighborhoods, we build communities. When I think about election campaigns, you don't have the candidate walk down a shopping center. You have them walk down a main street of a local community. When you have a candidate parade or an Easter parade or a St. Patrick's parade, you don't do that in a shopping center or a shopping mall or a power center. Maybe sometimes you could, but you do it on a main street of a community. When you want to think about a lighthouse or a piece of public art that is going to create a signature spot in your town, you put it on a main street. So we should support these BIAs. We should support these main street businesses. We should support our local businesses with our patronage, with our recommendations, with our traffic. We should walk around, even if we're not shopping. Go walk around, be part of the neighborhood, be part of the community, because they are our vibrant city centers, village centers, town centers. They are those third places that we need, that we desperately need, separate from our job and from our home, where we can go and hang out. You probably all saw, there was a great Saturday Night Live tribute to Kirstie Allen, I think that was her name, who was on Cheers. And they re-sang the theme song to Cheers about going to a place where everyone knows your name. And they had the different cast members of Cheers in the audience, potentially unbeknownst to Kirstie Allen. And they started singing parts of the song and then joined her up on stage. And it was obviously manufactured and it was a TV show. But it says something about going somewhere where everyone knows your name. And I don't think it's just a bar, but it's a community. It's wonderful to walk down, whether it be Lakeshore Road in Port Credit or Bloor Street in Bloor West Village or Main Street in Markham. So many different places where I've lived and shopped and restauranted, and bump into people that recognize you and say hello and know your name and pat your dog. It's what builds community. So if you get a chance, go to Yonge and St. Clair and check out the Gingerbread Festival. And congratulations to LaRose Mercader for great new job as executive director of the Yonge St. Clair BIA. And good luck to any other BIAs and other communities that are doing something special to try to celebrate this season or whatever season it is that brings people together. That's our show for tonight. Thanks for joining us. I remind you, I'm on every Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock on 960 AM. You can stream me online at Saga, www.saga960am.ca. All my podcasts and videos are available on briancrombie.com. I post all my videos on social media, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, and my podcasts are on numerous different websites where podcasts are available. I really enjoy sharing my time every evening from 6 to 7 with you. I hope you check out some of my shows. Good night.